we're going to go ahead and get started. So first, hello and welcome to this virtual panel discussion on riding the tidal wave of hard times. As a reminder, all of the resources mentioned here, as well as prior recordings, are all available on our COVID-19 resource page at nsaspeaker.org/COVID-19. Right now is a really, really tough time to be a professional speaker. So we've brought together some long-term NSA members who have been through the ups and downs, and they're going to share how they've worked through the ebbs and flows of the economy, of the times, to build a sustainable business. So as always, we encourage you to submit your questions. Please use the Q&A panel in Zoom. For those of you joining us on Facebook Live, go ahead and post your questions in Facebook, and Matt on our team will take those questions and put them into Zoom. So let's welcome our panelists. We have Lenora Billings-Harris, Thelma Wells, AKA Mama T, and Bill Cates. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Yes, indeed.
So I want to start off with a question that I'm going to want each of you to answer or respond to, because each of you have weathered downturns during your speaking profession. What is different this time, and what are you personally doing differently in this current situation? And let's start with you, Mama T.
Okay. You know, I don't really consider it such a downtime because I'm always up. I want my faculties to always be looking for, grabbing after what I can do differently or what I can do that I've done that can keep everything flowing the way it should be flowing. So my mindset really is to never look at it as a downside or whatever, but to look at it as what else can I do? How can I continue doing what I'm doing, or how can I change doing what I'm doing in order to make a difference in the world? So I try to use my mindset to say, it's not as bad as it seems to be and not as bad as it could be, but Thelma, you got the answer because you've got the heart to do it.
Nice. Lenora, how about you?
Wow. So what's different about this one is that it all happened so abruptly, like immediately no travel, immediately no conferences and conventions. And as speakers, you know, we're the first ones to go, essentially. That is, budgets being cut by the people that would hire us. And people fear that which they do not understand. So I think people are at a higher level of fear and discomfort. So one of the things that I'm doing different this time than times before, and thinking about it, I think this is the fourth time that I have experienced a downturn of some sort or another in the business because of the economy or whatever. So this time, because technology is so fabulous, I've been really crash course learning as much as I can. I mean, I was using it before, but really wanting to get very, very good at using virtual things like Zoom and others, and finding creative ways to stay in touch with my clients and not to sell to them, but rather to be real, to connect with them, to reach out to them, and not just send an email, but using different apps to send things to them via snail mail or writing hand notes and that type of thing. Just person to person, human to human, to help them know that I care about them. So that's primarily what I'm doing differently.
Bill, what about you?
Sure. I guess this is the third big one for me was, 9/11. When you couldn't travel for quite some time. There was the Great Recession in 08, 09, where my business took a pretty big hit. We went down about 30% that year, and it took a number of years to get back. I think what makes this a little bit different is it feels like the uncertainty is more, right? There's just so much uncertainty of the future. And, you know, the humans and the brain crave certainty. So it's very, you know, unsettling for everybody, I think. Kind of on the positive side, or one might think this is the positive side, is there's government money available. And, you know, we didn't have that before. And so I've been approved for the Paycheck Protection Program. I've been approved for a very large disaster loan. I probably won't use all the disaster loan money, but I'm going to have it sitting there just in case. And I think everyone should, you know, do whatever they can to have it there just in case. The thing that I'm doing probably differently more than anything else is just, I really am reaching out to a lot more clients and prospects. I feel like I've gone into like a hyper, you know, drive in terms of marketing, but it's, you know, it's a soft marketing. I'm really reaching out to help people, and but it's turning into marketing just by reaching out to folks. I was on the phone today with a client for whom I'm doing a webinar on Friday, and he just couldn't thank me enough just for reaching out and offering that to him. So I'm doing a lot more of that than ever before, and I've done in the past, and it's paying off in a lot of ways.
May I add one other thing, please?
Absolutely.
You mind? I have been soliciting, really, items to give my clients, such as magazines, other things that can help them look forward to the future too. And so the other day I ordered a lot of information that did not cost me much. I bargained. I bargained with several people, and I now in my office have so much material that I can send people that I don't have to charge them a lot for it. I can give some of it away, and I can just keep things moving the way I like to think that they can move. So that's what I've been doing. In fact, I worked today on, I guess, about 80 different products that I could send people to say, Mama T's still here, and I still want to work with you and for you.
What kinds of products?
Well, good. I'm glad you asked. I have some wonderful purses that I send a lot of ladies, okay? And in the purse, I give a little tip. Okay, I have a lot of purses, okay? I've accumulated a lot of purses. I have books that I authored or co-authored that I'm sending to people and saying, why don't we get together? Why don't we talk about this? Maybe we can have it, just giving ideas to people. So number one, they won't forget that Mama T still lives. Okay. And two, that they will get some information that is valuable to them, and that they can give information that's valuable or sell information that's valuable. So I'm not reinventing the wheel, really. I'm just helping people know that I'm available, I'm here, let's talk about what you think you need or what you need, and we'll get together and make this thing work one way or the other.
That's awesome, and I love those examples. Bill, you've been through a few different downturns. What is something that you learned from a previous downturn that has helped you adapt quickly to this situation?
Sure, and this is something that many people have heard a number of times probably over the last couple of months, and that was to diversify one's income streams. And for me, it wasn't just diversity within the speaking business, but which we have to make sure we're not trading time for dollars. Everybody, you know, understands that even if you're a high pay consultant, you're still trading time for dollars. And if God forbid something happens to you where you can't make yourself available, you know, how are you going to be income wise? And so, making sure that we have a diversity. So for me, it's been online training. I've been doing that for a long time, licensing deals with corporations. A lot of folks know I do that. And now I'm trying to diversify a little bit, even outside that business. I mean, I was just watching some videos from Eric Chester, and Eric, I didn't know this, but Eric Chester owns a car wash. And it's running right now, right? It's working. I guess it's an essential business where he lives, and but it's that diversity of income. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned, and I don't think we should ever, you know that you never want too much income from one client, right? You probably don't ever want more than 50% of your income from any one client, maybe even less than that. It's, you're just asking for trouble. I don't think you should have more than 30 or 40% of your income from any one income stream in your business either, because if that income stream goes away, and it's a big percentage, then you're really hurting very quickly. You're hurting. And if all the income streams are dependent on you showing up in some form or another, then you can be hurting very quickly. And that's part of what's going on right now for some folks. And then I guess just doing a better job with just-in-time value. In other words, this time around, I am really looking for content, massaging my existing content and new content based on interviews with clients and prospects, much more than I ever did before. Maybe I'm more confident in that area. I don't know, but developing new things that are just in time, just right, and not just repurposed for this time.
So you talked about like diversifying your revenue streams, which is always a good idea, regardless of what profession you're in. What advice would you have for the pure keynote speaker whose calendar is just empty now? Could they do some things to start to diversify their income now?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, first and foremost, they can do virtual keynotes. I mean, virtual keynotes have been around for a long time. Michael Vickers up in Canada has probably for 5 or 6 years has been doing virtual keynotes. And he has a very nice setup in his studio, and he allows slides to come in and backgrounds, and he's standing up, and it really is a keynote. And when he does them, not right now, but when he did them, he would have a camera in the audience. And so he could charge a little less if they couldn't afford his fee or it didn't work schedule-wise, he could still be there. So the idea of a virtual keynote certainly is nothing new and could be accomplished. I would suggest that, a lot of one could joke that a lot of keynote speakers don't have, any particular area of expertise. They just can tell really good stories, and they're humorous and motivational and inspirational. And I also know a lot of keynote speakers, mostly keynote speakers, who do have a lot of content, a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise that isn't always part of their keynote. And so I would suggest that now's the time to tap into that expertise. And so, for instance, if you're a motivational speaker, do you really understand what it takes to motivate people, right? Do you understand the dynamics of human motivation from a neuroscientific standpoint, from a psychological standpoint? And what if you actually were not just a motivational speaker, but actually an expert in what it takes to motivate people? And then you could have products and, online videos and all kinds of tools that could be made available that could be back of the room, but also exist in their own right. And you could sell that, and that then becomes part of your business. So, now's the time to start to develop that part of yourself and to be able to bring it to life in terms of video and other products.
Yeah, they say that, there's all of this research that during a recession or during a downturn is when innovation really occurs, right? Some of the most innovative companies were started during recessions.
Right.
So Lenora, this question's for you. What opportunities arose after 9/11 and the Great Recession that you kept as a standard business practice that is helping you today?
Yeah. Two things come to mind. I really was reminded of the value of our NSA community and our GSF, our Global Speaking Federation community. because everything I know about the speaking business, the whole business, I've learned from somebody in NSA or in the GSF community. And so one of the things that I did, I can't remember now if it was after 9/11 or the Great Recession. They all run together at this point. But one of the things I did is I was talking to Chris Clark Epstein, and her area of expertise is change, and mine is diversity and inclusion. And we realized, oh, those can kind of go together because certainly being more diverse and more inclusive means you have to change some things. And she goes deep into the whole change management piece. So what we developed during the quote unquote downtime were webinars back way back then, and got really good at them. I mean, our checklist is about 4 pages long. So we got really good at webinars, and I would deliver one, she would be the producer, she would deliver another the next month, and I'd be the producer. And we were then able to bundle them, either mine separately and hers separately. So that is a continuing product for me. And in the GSF, and the other thing, by the way, that happened as a result of partnering with her is that when the economy came back, we had joint bookings because people already knew the two of us. And so that we weren't expecting that, and that was a really good part of it. And in the GSF community, because of the work that I do, I'm always interested in what the cultural differences are around my topic. And so I spent time interviewing people from different countries that either do the work I do and some of them not, so I could really get a fresh perspective. That is now leading to, I just had a meeting this morning, a Zoom call, where I was drinking coffee at 7 a.m. and another person was drinking wine at 7 p.m. where she lives, because there are 4 of us, each of us living in different countries on different continents, and we're partnering to write a book together.
Wow, those are really, really great ideas. And you're right, like now would be a great time to start collaborating with people. So switching topics a little bit, Phil, we've heard a lot of advice about giving speeches right now, especially virtual speeches, for free. Have you done that? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I have. I've given free virtual presentations to a few types of my clients. So ones where my program was postponed. I've not had anything canceled. And I'm a little different kind of speaker in that a lot of folks build their programs around me. And that's kind of a nice thing. And so I've not had anything canceled, but just this morning I did one for a group where they've rescheduled to later in July in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and hopefully that'll fly. But we wanted to get the value to them sooner than later, right? So that's free, but it's part of a larger package, if you will. In a few cases, I've done it just to clients, just to say, hey, I'm here to help. What can I do? And they appreciate that. And then I've done a few free ones to get my foot in the door. So I've had a few prospects, big prospects out there for a long time. And very quickly, very early on when this all happened, I put out a great, well, in all humility, a great report, a report that worked very well for me that people really latched on very quickly. And I built a webinar based on that report. And so I've gotten my foot in the door of 3 very large prospects that I could never get my foot in the door before. One has already bought my video training for a number of their people. I didn't try to sell it. They just learned about it in the conversation. And so now for the folks that I'm doing my free ones, I have a little criteria. And by the way, I don't say free to them. I say fee waived. I will waive my fee. And so the criteria is, number one, I can mention my new book. And they always go, sure. I can mention my coaching program. I've been doing a lot more coaching than I usually do because guess what? I have more time to do it and it's a revenue stream. And they say, sure, happy to have you do that. And then I say, all I ask is when you start getting back to having live presentations where you're bringing people in, you'll give me serious consideration. And I go, oh yeah, absolutely. One guy says, yeah, we're going to have something in October or next spring. We'll definitely bring you in and that sort of stuff. So I've also been paid to do virtual presentations. I've been paid a number of times. A funny thing happened recently where a guy responded to an email I sent out to him, and he wanted to hire me or to bring me in to do a virtual presentation. And he says, "What is your fee?" And I looked in the email string of what I sent to him, and I realized in the very first one, I did offer to waive the fee. So of course I had to respect that one, and I'm thinking, darn, So anyway, I think it's a mix. You have to do what's appropriate. I also think you have to keep the lights on in your business. There's nothing, maybe the first month, okay, we gave, the phrase was helping is the new selling. All right, that's good, that's cool. I did that. I believe in that. But eventually you have to realize that you actually bring pretty good value to the table, and you have to start charging for that and being compensated for that. It's the way it works. Most people don't expect you to do it for nothing, generally speaking. Some will. There's also money available right now, especially in the sales and marketing area. A lot of companies have their marketing budgets, and they're going to lose them if they don't use them. And so if they do like trade shows, they can't do the trade shows right now. So they're moving that money around to other opportunities. I'm speaking at a conference in May for 10,000 people. It's virtual, 10,000 people. This person who's putting on the conference was told by his company, you have to spend this money. You have to do it. Because if you don't do it, then we're not going to have it for next year. And so that's going on out there. And the last real quick thing I mentioned is the end of year money. So many folks on this call have experienced that when a client reaches out to them in November and early December saying, we have some money left over and we'd like to pay you now for something next year. So don't forget to start positioning yourself for end of year money, starting around October, middle to late October. And for the remainder of the year, start to reach out to folks and say, do you have any end of the year money? I'd be happy to help you with that, and we'll deliver something when you're ready for it.
Yeah, great advice, especially government, right? It's use it or lose it on their budgeting season. So find out when your local government's fiscal year ends, and if they have money left over, they want to spend it.
And corporate too. Yeah.
Lenora, how do you handle those requests?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about free speeches, and I was trying to remember who said this to me, and it finally came to me. When I received my CSP, I remember being my first CSP meeting, and John Patrick Dolan said, "There's no such thing as a free speech." Well, of course, my eyes lit up, and I wanted to know what he was talking about. And what I learned from him is what I now call my contingency letter of agreement. But essentially what it is now I will ask, what I'm about to tell you, I will ask for this all the time. However, if I'm speaking for free or for a lower fee, I put these things in my letter of agreement. So it's right there. People know I'm expecting it. And the kind of things I ask for are referrals to 3 to 5 people who were not in the session that I'm delivering. I now also ask for video testimonials. So I'll have my iPhone and all the equipment I want to put next, put with it, with the microphone and all of that, so I can get a testimonial. You still can do that virtually as well. Essentially what you're doing is you're asking for things that don't cost them any money. I will also ask that they purchase one of my books. I have 2 books, and both are in ebook format, and so if that will work better. Sometimes they have separate budgets, so they'll have a separate budget for educational materials, so that will go in there. I also, by the way, will put in that in lieu of the fee. By the way, always mention in your letter of agreement what your regular fee is, so that they know what they're getting. And so in lieu of that fee, then I do also say that, by the way, this is confidential. So when you are referring me to someone else, when they ask what was my fee, you will say to them, "I'm sure Lenora will work with you." So I literally give them the words to say. And then the other things that I ask for, if it's an association, I will ask for the attendee list. Now, of course, there's some privacy issues. So depending on what theirs are, I will ask for at least the name and the company. Because usually you can find people with at least that. I'll try to get the title of the person's title as well. They're not likely going to give you email addresses and that kind of thing. But, if you don't ask, you don't get. So people are happy to do those kinds of things because they realize, oh, this doesn't cost me any money, and they have no idea how much value that is to us. So I just ask for 3 to 5 things that don't cost anything to them, but is very valuable to me. And oh, by the way, with virtual programs, if I'm using their platform, then I'm going to ask for the raw video so that I can edit it however I want and use it the way that I want to, and of course get the audio and the transcription as well, so that you can use that in many different ways. So that's my free speech.
Well, and I love the creativity that both you and Bill, came up with, and I think if we all embrace that concept that there's no such thing as a free speech, may not be paid in dollars, but it can be paid in something else like referrals or testimonials. I think that's awesome. Mama T, how do you handle those requests?
Well, with Vicki. Let me tell you what's happening with me now. I always see myself being able to help somebody. That's Mama T. Okay? And where I am now, I'm in a wonderful, wonderful place where you see me. And you know what it is? It's a pregnancy center. At 79 years old, I have a new job. And I'm excited. Now, why am I so excited? Because it gives me an opportunity to speak to these young ladies, to speak to their relatives, to pray for them, to offer them some things that I didn't have too much that I didn't get, but offer them some things that they have not gotten, and show them the differences in where they are and where they can be. And so I'm loving doing that because I'm speaking every day, sometimes 3 times a day, okay? They're listening to me and I'm loving on them. So I'm getting the best of 3 worlds as I'm still talking to them. Now, when they leave here, they probably won't be able to hire me, but that's okay because I've dealt with their relatives. I've dealt with people that don't like them, and so I'm feeling that this is one of the best times of my life because I've spoken, really all over the world and with women of faith, and that was wonderful. That was wonderful, and so many other things. But there is always a time and a place and a situation that will help you continue your talent, help you continue your passion there. And I do have a lot of passion for that. Okay, that will help you do that. That will keep you fresh. That will keep you fresh. How do you stay fresh though? You keep up with what's going on. You love yourself as well as you love what you're doing. I pray about mine, okay? And perhaps you do too. But every segment of our lives, I believe, gives us an opportunity to be real in what we've been given the charge to do, wherever it is. So no, I don't ask a lot for money anymore because I'm writing books and I'm selling. I'm selling books and I'm editing. I mean, not editing books, but I'm what do you call it when when somebody asks you to write a whatever in your book, whatever you, yeah, I'll get it tomorrow, even if I'm not talking to you. But there are so many things that we can do that can encourage people to pay us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pay us.
Yeah, you're right. And I love that about staying relevant. So, Bill, a question came in from Sonia. Do you or your clients have a different fee for virtual versus live? And what are your thoughts on should there be a different fee schedule?
You know, there's a lot of different thinking around that, and I've seen some discussion in the NSA Facebook page and some other groups that I'm part of, and some people say they charge 80%. Some people say they're charging half of their fee. I'm charging less. I'm than half my fee, because I just want to keep going. And you know, Patricia, because if you're charging half your fee, you know, and that's still too much for people, then you know, then you're getting nothing. And I learned from Patricia Fripp a long time ago that something of something is better than nothing of nothing. And so, plus, as Lenora said so well, there's other ways to leverage this. What she was talking about is leverage. And so, yeah, I'll work on what the market will bear. And I know with some of my clients, certain types of clients that buy my video training and things like that, they don't have the kind of money to do that pay the large keynote speakers and that sort of stuff. However, it can be part of a bigger package where they do get my video training. There could be some coaching involved. So I try to create a package. And when you create a package, by the way, if someone talks to someone else about your fee, they're comparing apples to oranges, because everybody's package is going to be different. So you really don't have to worry about that if you're creating more of a package. So yeah, I mean, I do negotiate my fee. And I get what's appropriate, what the client can pay, and what kind of value I can deliver. I mean, ultimately, one could say they're paying us for our knowledge, they're paying us for our ability to deliver message, they're not paying us, you know, to do it this way. Yeah, I get that. But in this world, you know, sometimes they have to do this and they didn't plan on doing this. And so we just have to work with them, I think.
Lenora, Tia asked, when you offer a discounted rate for a talk, do you always include your full fee as well too? Like you do when it's free? Do you include it when you offer a discount?
Do I ask for the same things? Is that what she's?
No, do you report your actual fee and then show what the difference
Yes.
is?
Yes, absolutely. On the in the letter of agreement, on the line where it'll have fee, I will have my full fee. And then next to that, it'll say, in lieu of this full fee, in lieu of this fee, because the number's already there. That's when I then enumerate what they're going to do instead of paying that full fee. So I'll have my full fee, I'll put what they're doing in lieu of it, and then I'll have a line that shows the fee that they pay. Now, I do want to comment as well also on what Bill was saying, because yes, people are all over the place on do you charge full fee for virtual or not? And I will charge the full fee. However, I will be compassionate and really work with them, because our clients don't know that, you know, you don't have to pay it all at once. You can pay a amount, you know, a small amount now and another amount, and if we need to put some in the next year. Certainly I've been fortunate, like Bill, that my clients haven't canceled. They've postponed when it was a conference, and some of them paid 100% for that conference already, and it was something I was going to be doing in a couple of months. Well, of course, I didn't want to give that money back. And so we just talked about it, and of course, I'm booked for them for next year, but others didn't necessarily want to book me for a conference they don't know if they're going to have. So we reshaped what I would do with them. And the other thing is, so often, especially for keynoters, or even if we're delivering a workshop, we come in, we do what we're going to do, but then what happens? Do they ever use it, or was it just a check mark? And so I have found this has given me the opportunity to say, okay, we'll do this virtual session now, or something that's on demand. I have on-demand programs too. And then let's talk about, in this same package, let's talk about coaching. Now, I don't like to coach one-on-one, so I'll do group coaching, but my point is come up with additional things. So they'll pay the full amount, but they're really getting more than I ordinarily would give them.
Very interesting. Let's go back to something Mama T said. She was really talking about authenticity, and like what she's doing in the pregnancy center is just so authentic and true to her. Mm-hmm. Lenora, and I think people are really craving that connection and the authenticity right now. So why is authenticity important?
Well, that happens to be one aspect of what I do in the whole area of inclusion. Organizations say they want the whole person to show up, but what they don't realize is they have an environment that is risky for the whole person to show up. So it's really important right now, because it's always important, but it's really important right now because as human beings, we have a need to belong. Now, we have a need to belong all the time, but when we're having to be, what's the term? So have, social distance and all of that, which I think it's physical distance, it's not social distance, but when we're having to stay in our homes or, be 6 feet away from someone else, that makes us feel more excluded. So as speakers, we can find ways to be authentic with our clients, even when it's virtual, by being compassionate, by finding out what's important to them. One of the things that really struck me mostly the first time was when I became president of NSA. Mm-hmm. People started treating me differently. Now, they were treating me very nice. I mean, it was treating me very well, but it was different. And I realized it was my job to create that safe space for people to continue to be authentically who they were and for them to still see me as authentically who I am. So my point is, as speakers, it's our job to create that authentic space, to create that intimacy with our clients. And there's lots of ways to do that. What I have found when I self-analyzed is I was just a little too formal most of the time. And what I have learned now is as I get to know the client, now get to knowing means even on a prospect call, so they may not be a client yet, but as I get to know them, I'll ask questions beyond just the business and then find ways to bring that up. So the next time I talk with them, I might ask them how their cat is doing or, what's happening with their baby or something like that. The point is I'm just being human with them. Mm-hmm. So this is a time where we can do that, to be human with our clients, because the fact of the matter is, although people think we're unapproachable when they see us on a platform, the reality is we're all human beings and people do business with people they like. So we have to think of ways that will fit for us, that will help them see us as human beings.
I love that. And I also think that if there's not congruence, if you're not being authentic to yourself, then there's not going to be congruence between your product and you as a person. And that's going to come out at some points.
Absolutely.
Phil, we've talked a little bit about how you've adjusted your business to the current environment. What are you doing to remain relevant? I mean, you literally wrote the book on relevance.
Well, since I can't get a haircut, I've decided to grow my hair long and have a man bun, because so many men have, that's the relevant hip thing to do, I guess, to have a man bun. No. Well, it's interesting. The first thing that happened to me when all this happened was, how do I reach out to my clients? I know I have value. I know I can help them in these times, but without looking predatory and without looking, overly opportunistic, et cetera. And I always lead with value anyway, so it's kind of my nature to do that. But then talking with a few clients and seeing what they were going through and a little bit of coaching, I realized that it was not a time to retreat. I had to be bold about my value. I had to make sure I talked in terms of what was going on. And that's that report I wrote that really was perfect for the time. And it really has helped me. But we have to be bold about our value. We have to believe in our value. And by doing that, I've been able to really stay relevant in the sense that when things like this happen, sometimes we're tempted to maybe expand who we're going to work for, right? Maybe we have a target market, or I have a target market, and I could be tempted. Well, maybe I could, try to do. And then I realized, no, if I do that, I'll actually be less relevant. So I made a decision to double down on my target market and even do some things I had never done before to really bolster my reputation within my target market. The coaching that I'm doing, like Lenora, I don't particularly care for one-on-one coaching. I mean, it's okay, especially if it's in small chunks. I don't particularly care for the long-term relationships. And my company's Referral Coach International, so go figure that one. And but the short coaching that I'm doing right now is keeping me relevant, right? Because I'm hearing what their challenges are. In my book, one of my principles is give your customers or clients a seat at the table, right? Don't develop any of this stuff in a vacuum. Don't think you know what they want. Talk to them about what they want. And the coaching and consulting I've been doing is that laboratory for me to stay relevant, to make sure. And I hear someone talk about an idea and I go, that's a great idea. I can teach that. Or they have a challenge, they have a problem. And I go, I have some ways to address that. And I'll address that. We just did 2 video blogs. I don't always do a video blog, but sometimes I do. And so just to be very specific, one of the challenges that my market has is how do you ask for referrals in this kind of environment over Zoom? You're not in face-to-face, et cetera, et cetera. So I did a video blog on how do you ask referrals in a virtual environment. We had a 49% open rate. Half of the people that email went out to opened it. And that's almost unheard of. Well, why? Because it was exactly what people wanted to know at the right time. And so we do that by really, truly talking to folks and helping them work through their problems. And then we expand that to our bigger offering. So that's how I'm staying relevant.
Nice. Brian Walter said that right now in his business, his clients are buying fast turnaround video editing or production. What are your clients actually buying right now? So what do they perceive that they need?
Yeah. So for me personally, they're buying virtual sessions. And sometimes I say the same things that they say to their people. They just need someone else to come in. I'm Uncle Bill, right? Uncle Bill comes in and says it a little differently and all of a sudden they get it. So they're virtual training. They're buying my online learning. I do have to say that I'm feeling very lucky in the sense that I have, this on-demand virtual training. And so I just kicked off a training session today for a company where it's 100 people in this group, 13 managers and the rest are producers, and they're all at home, right? And I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing all the different crazy backgrounds they have. And there was a guy in his nursery. There was a crib behind him. That was his office. And there was another gal in a garage, and it's just crazy what we're seeing. So it's a lot of fun. But the fact that they're virtual, and I have a program that they can do all the training virtually, and then we get on a Zoom and coach once a week. I mean, it's perfect. So obviously we're trying to promote that a lot as well. And that's the main thing, coaching and virtual, and then my online video, which does not depend on me being there. This particular group wants me to be part of it. But in most cases, I'm not part of that. It runs all on its own.
Awesome. So Lenora, what are your customers actually buying right now? And then as a follow-up, what are some actions that our members can take right now?
Okay. So some people might wonder, diversity, what in a down market? Nobody's going to be interested in that. And nobody's going to be interested in inclusion, not in the sense that we normally talk about it in a corporate environment. So I had to really think, what would be relevant right now? Well, one of the things that I teach people is how to have difficult conversations. And I have that on demand. I can do it virtually. I have a really short little program for people that, just want to take it individually. And then also companies that really want to create that more inclusive culture by knowing how to talk to one another. And the other thing that occurred to me is as families are staying in their homes and the adults are having to work and they're having to homeschool their kids, folks are starting to get on each other's nerves. So the technique that I teach is one that's relevant whether they're applying it at home or they're applying it at work. And what I have found, to Bill's point, where you're seeing people in their homes and their dogs walking by or whatever, that's yet another way that we can show our authenticity and theirs. Now, I'm not saying that when we do our virtual programs, we ought to have a lot of noise in the background and all of that kind of thing, because I do believe professional speakers need to do this professionally. But don't get upset if, I have two cats and like so far they've been quiet, but they're not always. So be okay with that, because that helps show that you're being relevant right now too, that you're dealing with some of the same things they are. But I must say that when I realized, oh, I need to teach my STOP program and I really need to help people know that it's there, that has been a real payoff for me. And it then leads to the other inclusion work that I do.
Nice. So what are some actions that our members can take right now?
Yeah, so there were some of the things that I thought of when earlier I talked about staying in touch with your clients in creative ways, is that I'm always asking other people, and one of the ways I get into a conversation even with my clients or prospects are just kind of off the cuff, what are your favorite apps that can help you work wise? And so there are a few apps that I use. One is Touch Notes. Touch Note is what it's called, and it's free. Well, you have to pay for the postage, but essentially it's free. And so I use my pictures, my photographs that I've taken, and I make a postcard of it all online, and it gets mailed anywhere in the world. It's a way to stay in touch. To make my pictures look even more interesting, I use Photo Grid, I think it's called. And Loom is what I've just discovered. So instead of sending emails, I can actually put a video in the email. So my point is there's some immediate things you can do to be creative in connecting with your clients. And by the way, this is on a one sheet handout that all of you who are viewing this will receive. It'll be on the NSA website. So additionally, those things I talked about before that don't cost money. So you want to ask for those kind of things. You want to connect and reconnect with local organizations. If you've gotten really busy and you haven't been very connected locally, then reconnect with your community and see if you can serve on a nonprofit board, because other people that sit there work for businesses. Now, again, your meetings are going to be virtual, but they won't always be. So that's going to connect you to people either who can hire you or who are currently looking for others. It gives you a way to have conversations, offer some things to folks in that regard. This is a good time, of course, to partner, as I said before, with other NSAers and GSF folks to build products. You don't have to build the whole product. I like to sell things and then build it instead of having, all these products in my office and there's nowhere for it to go. And so partner with some other folks to market with them and connect and then build products together or deliver things together. Someone else said this on one of the other NSA, it might have been a panel or one of the other things I was listening to, and I think it was Scott McCain, who said, go back and look at some of your old stuff. Go look at your materials that you got tired of doing. And I would recommend that as well, is go back and look at some of your old files, pull out those pieces that are relevant now, repurpose them, figure out ways to get them to your clients, whether you're selling or giving some of it away. But there's so many things you could be doing right now.
Excellent advice. So Bill, you spent the last week or so compiling a list of ideas that our members can use to generate generate revenue quickly. So in doing this, you've had conversations with our members. So what are some of the attitudes and perspectives that you've detected from them in these conversations? And then as a follow-up, what are some of the top items on your list?
I'll tell you, the perspectives or attitudes I got out of doing this, and it was a great exercise, because whenever I hosted VOE once, and whenever you do this sort of stuff, you serve NSA and you interview other people to eventually share, you're the first crack at the information, right? So I got some great ideas. And the creativity and the depth of relationships that a lot of our members have with their clients that allow them to suggest some of these creative ways to keep serving and to get paid for it. Sometimes that's based on having a really good relationship. So I was struck by that. I think I mentioned, and I know Brian, Walter in the questions asked about the virtual promo video. I have not done mine yet. I'm kind of waiting to see a little bit. I know Willie Jolly's working on one. Chuck Gallagher's doing one for Steve Gilliland. And I know Chris West, I think, talked about it on his session today. So, that is definitely in the air, and it does make sense. I have recorded a couple of my webinars with this in mind, knowing that I was probably going to produce something. But, you can also record a webinar without an audience. You can record a call without an audience and look as every bit as good you want, and makes this, the screenshot look bigger of you and all that sort of stuff. So, as long as it's authentic of how you delivered anyway, there's a lot of creativity. I want to hit a couple of these though, because there's some good stuff. One thing that I've been doing on the virtual sessions is I've offered a complimentary strategy session, and it's a 30-minute complimentary. I have a few key questions I like to ask them. I give them a little assessment. It takes them like 5 minutes. They do the assessment before our call. I have some key questions that I want to talk to that really expose some of the gaps in their business. And then they can ask whatever they want. I want to make sure they get their question asked. But it's a very nice setup to then talk just a little bit near the end about my coaching. And I'm converting maybe about 40% of those people into some nice coaching contracts. And so that's something I'm doing immediately to generate immediate revenue. What else? See, one person suggested that after you do a virtual session, then you do a survey and maybe that's fee waived, and then you do a survey to the participants about the other points of value that you can bring, the other topics you can address, and do a little survey and see what they want to hear. And then from that, you can put a little package together and then present that to the client. I've seen several members create very short, just-in-time video courses, 3 lessons, 5 lessons. Doesn't take a lot of time to do it, but they're video lessons based exactly on what's going on right now. I'm partnering with several NSA members to give each other referrals. I had a call with a member just yesterday. We have about 12 referrals each we're going to give to each other. We've crafted the introduction. We know how we want to be introduced to those people. And those will be for paid virtual sessions, because I know what she's charging and she knows what I'm charging. And we're going to make sure that we get paid for those sessions. The people that I'm referring to her have paid me and vice versa. And so we know there's money available there. And then I think Lenora mentioned the joint products you can do. And then finally, something, if you don't have any products or services at all, but you have an app, a software that you love to use, become affiliate, right? Become an affiliate of BombBomb or CoVideo or Send Out Cards or anything that you're using, and start to write blogs about how you're using this product to be in touch with your clients or to make your business more efficient. And guess what? You can actually generate some income on that. You want to be authentic. You want to make sure you really are using the tool and demonstrating how you're using the tool, but then other people will want to use that tool, and then that can generate some revenue. So a ton of ideas, 4 pages that when you go to the show notes or whatever, when this is posted on the Facebook page with the replay, then this will be accessible. And please forgive the typos. I put this together very quickly.
No, Excellent, excellent list. Mama T, in
Yes.
addition to overcoming your own hardships, you've inspired and guided many professional speakers through a lot of tough times. What advice do you have for our audience to deal with the current situation now?
That's a good question, and thank you so much for asking me. I would suggest to them that they not get afraid of what's going on now, that they keep a balance in that. I know that it's questionable about what we're doing. Stay busy. Now, I don't mean just stay busy doing busy work, but this is what I'm doing, and I'm suggesting this. I have made a promise to Thelma that she was going to put out or send, I don't know how many emails, I guess 75 emails. That's what I've been doing, 75 emails to people, or tried to contact these people who were my customers, who have been my customers, and who I want to let them know I care about them. Okay, that'll go a long way in this. So I have a whole lot of customers all over the world, but I'm targeting everyone that I have a phone number for. And I'm calling them and saying, I just want to see how you're doing. This is Mama T. This is Thelma Wells, whatever I call myself. That has generated a lot of interest. And I know when this is over, I'll have some business from this. I'm not just doing it for that, but I want people to know I care. And when people know you care, and you care enough about them to contact them, it doesn't always have to be, okay, I need your money. But I love you, I care about you, I'm interested in you, and I'm gonna try to stay relevant, or stay in touch with you, so we won't lose our contact. But some of us, of course, myself, have lost contact with so many people. You know, we just can't stay in contact with everybody. But this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it deliberately now. So when I call them the next time, they won't say, you, who are you? You know, when did I talk to you? When did I ever? So that's really deliberately what I'm doing. And I have the time to do it because I'm here in a place where nobody's going to be coming in or going out, and I don't have to do a whole lot. So I can sit there most of the day and look at the time zones for doing this, to make sure that I'm not waking somebody up in the middle of the night to do that. So I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can, professional as I can, loving as I can, and direct as I can.
Nice. So I've just got one more question. We've talked a lot about actions that our speakers can take now to survive. Let's talk about how they can thrive. So really quickly, let's start with you, Bill. How do you see the speaking profession changing as a result of our current situation? And what can speakers be doing now to prepare for it?
You know, I knew you were going to ask me this question, and you know, what is going to be the future of this profession? And the truth is, nor anybody has any earthly idea exactly how this is going to shake out. Some people think there's going to be Zoom fatigue. Some people think that this is going to be here to stay, and I think it will be. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. So obviously, just getting really good at virtual, and not just face to the camera. You know, you got to have a good camera, got to have good lighting, have a good microphone, and all of that. And if you don't, as a professional speaker yet, if you're looking down and you're using the camera on the computer and they see the ceiling and there's light behind, and all the faux pas that people are making, you know, you got to fix that really fast, because you got to be an expert at virtual. You can't let the technology get in the way. The technology shouldn't show at all, right? It just facilitates. So that's obviously going to be there. And then I think if people haven't gotten the wake-up call about diversifying their revenue stream and diversifying their business, they've gotten that wake-up call now. And you know, it's because sooner or later something else is going to happen, unfortunately. And so we've got to be prepared for that, and we've got to have a business model that will survive that. And the beautiful thing about NSA, I think one of the benefits of being a member of NSA is the diversity of the membership in terms of diversity of business models. And so that we can learn and grab and take a little bit and borrow from each person and have a more diverse business model ourselves.
I love that answer. Lenora, what would you add?
So, so ditto to what Bill said. And as hard as it is right now to think about it, start saving if you haven't already. So having that diversity or having that that reserve, because there's going to be another hiccup in our business if you want to do this long term. You have to do that. The other is that, and those of you who know me well know I'm a stickler about the difference between public speaker and professional speaker. Public speakers could be good. Professional speakers have to be good. And so virtual isn't going away. In addition to doing the things that Bill said, also know how to really make your virtual sessions pop. You don't talk for 3 hours with no breaks. Have lots of interaction. Pay attention to what NSA is offering you, either with, you know, with the panels, with all the other things going on, so that we really can learn how to do this well, get the right technology, and then also figure out how to make your programs almost like you're there. And then, oh, by the way, build some on-demand programs as well, so that that's creating revenue for you when you're sleeping.
Love it. Mama T, would you add anything to that?
No, I think she did a great job with that. The only thing that I would add is what everybody else is doing. Make sure you stay in close contact. When I say close, you know, but in contact with the people who can either have other people hire you or some connection with them as often as you can, because you don't want to lose anybody. You want everybody to know who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and to be your client. So stay in touch. That's the best thing that I can say. And that's what they're doing. And I'm so glad to see all of them doing all of what they're doing, and all of you, because that's the magic of the business, to stay relevant.
Well, Mama T, Lenora, and Bill, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your stories and your guidance. All of the resources that were mentioned will be added to our COVID-19 page at nsaspeaker.org/COVID-19. Next week, we will be having a virtual interactive panel discussion with Dan Thurman and John DeJulius. So I hope you all can join us. Thank you for joining us for this one. Be safe, be well.